On your marks.
So underway, once again the split start. Looks like Tsakowski's on the outside there in the Maccabi uniform. On the inside, I think that might be Langdon from Ivanhoe. So let's see how they settle when they come across the track. Mason with the arm warmers on in the Eureka uniform. Probably not a bad thing to have as Tsakowski comes across and thinks, who's going to join me? And Jordan Mason says, that's me. So Mason and Tsakowski out front. Let's just keep that pace moving. Anthony Page looking good early on there. Also Asgard at the inside of him. Langdon just sitting nicely in third position. Greg positioned there behind Hawks. Also Rouse to the outside of him in the Essendon uniform. So solid start here. So as I said, the seed times range from about 15:30 through to about 16:20. So Cheyenne Buller, I think, sitting at the rear of the field at the moment as Mason decides to take lead. One of the more experienced runners in this pack is Jordan Mason. And he is setting a nice pace. And if I was those guys, just follow Jordan. So nice steady pace being set here by Jordan Mason from Eureka. The Eureka Club well represented here this evening. Good run we saw just before from Ben Stevens. So Ludbrook up there. Ascar sitting in second position. Then Greg's moving forward. Josh Hawks cruising along in fourth position. Big run from him last week at Milers Club. Tsakowski just sitting now back off Langdon. Cheeseman looking good in the midfield there. Also, it is Giacomis in the Scots uniform, moving alongside Paddy Matthews. Anthony Page next. Then Greg from the YCW club. Then Rouse. Ross Thomas in next position. Took home $100 in cash in the Dash for Cash last week here at Lakeside. So no $100 at the finish line of this one for Ross, but still we're expecting a big run from him, the run-up from the Box Hill Athletic Club. But Mason's still leading the way as they go through that 800-metre mark, the 2 laps, approaching the first kilometre. So to be on 15:30 target time, they'd need to be about that 3:05, 3:06. I think they're going to be shy of that as they come through. So it's approaching the 3-minute mark now, so it's going to be more likely that 3:10 mark as they come through. Asgar's getting a little bit antsy as he moves ahead. So a good move there from Josh Asgar. So 3:09.85. So that's 15:50 pace, which is still good pace for a lot of these runners. That'll be a PB for a big grouping here in this race. So nice work there by Mason as we see now Greg starting to move forward. And chasing down Ascar. Going with him is the young man of the moment, Joshua Hawks. And Cheeseman, his teammate, deciding, gee, I want a piece of this action out front. So things are starting to really move nicely. Once again, we're seeing a bit of a change in lead, which is starting to generate a bit of pace out front. But good opening first kilometre, 3:09 high. Ascar leading the way. So he's coming in with a time of 16:08. So Josh Asgar just driving forward, looking for a PB here tonight. We're commonly calling Josh in the shorter events, the 1500s and 8s. Good to see him stretching out here in this 5,000 metres here tonight, representing the Doncaster Club. The boys from Wendouree working nicely. Cheeseman in good form, just sitting off the back of Hawks, who looks so smooth. David Gregg also looking the goods here. Paddy Matthews sitting midfield, Langdon up there, Giacomis, then Thomas, gap then to Grigg and Vernal, then Stamoulis, Page, Buller, Rouse and Johnson. So 5 minutes on the clock now. Ascar leading from Greg. Then Hawks, Cheeseman, Zukovsky, Mayston, Matthews, Langdon, Giacomis, Thomas. So a nice group of 10 in that lead bunch. Greg and Vernal running together. Stamoulis next, then Buller. Rouse, Page to the inside, then a gap to Johnson. So Greg moving nicely with Vernal. Stamoulis sticking there with them. That's a nice little bunch. Michael Johnson just doing his stuff, rear of the field there. Lapping quite consistently. So we're seeing a little bit of a gap form there. The top 6, then 4. So that 10 has gone to 2 groups. Ross Thomas, the one making a few moves there as he comes alongside the early leader in Mayston. Langdon going with him. Giacomis just trying to hang through as they go through the 2K mark. So nice work from Ascar. Looks like he's working hard out front though. We might need to see someone just take a little bit of the work out front. Might have to put it on Hawks to get out there and do a bit of work. So Ascar, Greg, Hawks, Cheeseman, they're all looking good. Matthews bolted onto that little pack there with Zukovsky. And Thomas just dropping a little bit. Sorry, he's just moving away from Mayston and Langdon and trying to latch himself back on. So it'd be interesting to see if Thomas can make that group of 6 into 7. So he had a very good run over 3,000 last week for Thomas. But gee, that's a bit of a gap now, and they are moving nicely. They're all in rhythm out front there. Ascar's setting that rhythm. And we're seeing Zukovsky probably just wanting to go a little bit faster as he goes to the inside there of Cheeseman. So no change. Ascar leads it. Coming down to get 7 laps to go. Thomas desperately trying to latch on, but he's in no man's land at the moment. Mayston, Langdon working together. Giacomis now being chased down by Greg and also Vernal. So 6 to go. Ascar, Greg, Hawks, Cheeseman, Zukovsky, Matthews, Thomas. Langdon and Mayston, Giacomis, Greg, Vernal, Stamoulis, Buller, Page, Rouse and Johnson. So just over 100 metres separating the entire field here in this men's C race. As we're well into the second half of this event. That lead group of 6 unchanged. So approaching now, coming around to get the 3 kilometre mark. So 9:30 thereabouts indicates the 15:50. And I think they're going to be right on that mark, if not maybe a little bit quicker. So Ascar coming in for 16:08. Gee, he's looking good and really doing a great job for the other runners, just setting a very nice rhythmic pace out there. So Josh Ascar looking the goods. And they're going to be in the 9:20s as they come through. So we're sitting here on 15:40 sort of pace. Hawks, I think he can really go if he wants to. Cheeseman, very impressive tonight. Ross Thomas just stuck in that gap. Langdon now with Mayston moving forward of him. Giacomis going with him. Greg just starting to break Vernal. Stamoulis in next position. Buller's on the outside of him. Then Page, Rouse and Johnson starting to view a few bodies in front. But out front, 6 runners still together. So now we're seeing a few little moves. Hawks just edging to the outside. As I said, I always thought he's just looking so smooth. He can probably do a little bit of the lead here, and I think Josh Hawks is going to take Cheeseman with him. So this is great, the two young men from Wendouree just surging forward. Cheeseman might have to do the work and push forward. Hawks just needs to get a body length, and it is Cheeseman that makes the move. So that's a good move from Jacob Cheeseman. Just getting that pace re-established. So Cheeseman and Hawks, the two boys from Wendouree, working together. This is good. I think Hawks might just edge forward soon. Askar's going with them. Now Greg sitting in fourth position. Sikorsky moving beautifully. Paddy Matthews at the back of the pack. Ross Thomas still in no man's land. Langdon starting to launch forward. He's got Giacomis chasing him with Mayston. So that bunch of six, this is going to be a very interesting last kilometre or so for this six-man leading pack. Thomas, I don't think, can do much to latch onto them now. That gap's out to about 45 metres. So it's really down to this six to sort the placings out in this C race. So great to see some real young talent in this event. Cheeseman's been impressive, setting that pace and getting forward and getting them moving, but now it's Hawks, the smooth mover. Now we're seeing Sikorsky back in. He led it early, and now he's starting to charge forward, and now Paddy Matthews makes his move. So it's Hawks, Cheeseman, Sikorsky, Askar, Matthews, Greg, gap to Thomas, then Langdon. So 3 out, approaching the 4 kilometre mark. So all runners now coming into the home straight to see the number 3, but down the back straight and approaching the 4 kilometres is Hawks, Cheeseman, Sikorsky, gap then to Askar. Matthews trying hard, Greg trying harder, as they don't want to lose contact going into this last 2.5 laps. So approximately 12:31 hitting that, 12:32 by the clock there at 4 kilometres. And now the gaps are starting to form. It's 3 and 3. Hawks, Cheeseman, Sikorsky, they've made a good move. They're just surging. I told you Hawks was looking good and he's looking smooth. His young teammate there, Cheeseman, also looking the goods from Wendouree. Sikorsky's shown a bit during this race, had a few goes at moving to the front, but he's sticking to the two boys from Wendouree beautifully as they go through 2 laps to go. Askar, Matthews, Greg's just got to hold on to Matthews now. 2 laps to go, Mr. Greg, as Ross Thomas does start to bridge that gap. He's been persistent and consistent, and Thomas might be rewarded with a few scalps as they go into the last 2. Langdon's the same. He's really picking it up. Giacomis now moving away from a Mayston. Greg in next position from YCW, and then we've got Buller and Vernal. Johnson moving through. He's ahead of Stamoulis. Then it's Page and Rouse. But round the end, and it looks like it is Hawks just starting to edge away. He's now out by 15 metres. So a nice progression this winter and into this summer season for Josh Hawks from Wendouree, and we're seeing the results come as a result of that hard work. We're just seeing him come in 500 metres out. He's going to hear the bell shortly. Had a win here last week in a great time. I think it was about 8:48, massive PB, and took out the On Encouragement Award. And yet again, a big thank you to On, supporters of the Victorian 5,000 metre championships, as we see Hawks goes through. Sikorsky's now in second. Cheeseman's just got to dig deep. He'd love a 1-2 for the Wendouree club here. Askar did so much work. Just got to hold on now, Josh. Paddy Matthews starting to launch. Ross Thomas is getting a sniff of Greg. Langdon's got 1 to go and he looks good. So Giacomis, 1 to go. Mayston, early leader. But up the back straight, and it is Josh Hawks into the last 200. Sikorsky in next position. Cheeseman. Then we're seeing Matthews just easing in front of Askar. Greg working strong, but it looks like Thomas might be looking to take a scalp there. Stamoulis through for 1 to go. Also Page and Rouse, but into the home straight now. Our leader and winner, 2 weeks, 2 wins here at Lakeside Stadium. Josh Hawkes will salute the judges here. Looks like it's going to be a sub 15:30. I think he's going to be pretty happy with that. So the finger goes out, a little bit of a fist pump. Great work, Josh Hawkes. 15:27. Zukovsky, nice work here. Cheeseman's hanging on. Matthews is coming at him. But Jacob Cheeseman, he's going to be through in about 15:40. I think he'll be happy with that one. Then Matthews, Thomas, Askar, Greg, Langdon, his teammate, not far away. He'll be sub 16 as well. So some impressive running here as Mason looks at that clock, sees it ticking away, 58, 59, 16 minutes. Mason just over, Giacomis also just over the mark. So good running once again. Barry Gregg and Michael Johnson, this is what the patience game's all about. It was stone marvellous last for so much of this journey, but look at Michael Johnson coming through now for a 16, sub 16:20 for Johnson. Gregg just in front of him. Nice run from Buller. Vernal's hold on beautifully for 16:23. Stamoulis and Page racing down the home straight. Stamoulis will take next slot. 2 sub 16:30s there, so great work once again from Page. And Ben Rouse from the Essendon Club will be the final finisher in the men's C 5,000 metres. So once again, big thank you to our club helpers,